I'm Corrine Barry, as some of you may know, or as my title suggests. I'm the East Coast Net Zero Director for RWE. What does that mean? It's a big title and it's quite ambiguous. Basically, for RWE, I represent our East Coast Net Zero strategy. So all of our assets that are on the East Coast, as far as Blyth down to East Anglia, with a big focus on the industrial cluster regions such as the Humber and Teesside. And my primary focus for our projects in the region and making sure that we're doing what we can to decarbonise in line with the government strategy to help the government decarbonise as well. So based on the Paris Agreement and scientific data, we've aligned our strategy to ensure that any of our assets and projects that we have, that we are making sure that we do our part to decarbonise and that we are taking ownership of that as well. Very, very briefly, who are RWE? Because most of you don't know us. Please do not ask me to pronounce the very long German name that is acronym to RWE because I can't pronounce it. But if you go into Google, you'll understand why. So we were founded 125 years ago. We've got a good history back in power generation, but it was on mainly fossil fuels. Fast track to where we are today, and a number of buyouts and acquisitions with E.ON and Energy and swapping of assets, and where we sit today, that we are one of the leading energy companies in the UK and Europe. We're also a global leader in our energy projects. Up here are some of our leading projects, and as you can see, we have a global footprint from Australia, a lot over Europe. Some of those are battery storage, some of those are solar, some of those are onshore and offshore, and obviously you'll see in there some of those are aggregated PVs. So we also work in the solar power industry with agriculture, which is also a very key part of decarbonisation, which some people forget that farming plays a key role in that as well. The interesting part of who we are and where we are in the UK, we provide over 15% of the UK power generation as RWE as a company from our assets, and that is across the whole of the UK, and that spans across gas, offshore, onshore, biomass, hydro, and some small oil. Now that's a really important thing, that although we are an energy company, we do have fossil fuel production, and that is key. And the reason why is because for energy security reasons and the way that our infrastructure is as a country at the moment, we cannot solely survive off of just renewable energy sources, and decarbonised fossil production plays a huge part in the security of power generation for the UK and energy security, and we're fully aware of that. So whilst obviously we'd all like to get to a point where there are no fossil fuels, in our lifetime that is not going to happen. But what we can do in the meantime is make sure that we're doing what we can, and this is where my role comes into play, look in our power stations that are in Staithorpe and Stanley, etc., and making sure that we are decarbonising those as much as possible, but also still providing government and the UK with energy security. In the UK, we employ over 3,000 people, and currently we're looking to invest a further £15 billion into the UK, into the energy sector. Now that is across offshore and onshore and across our portfolio, but that's our commitment to our investment in energy and the decarbonisation of the UK. The figures that you see on megawattage that are split up there doesn't include some of our new portfolio that we've acquired most recently from East Anglia. So actually our numbers are now over 11 megawatts of offshore wind alone, which actually puts us ahead of some of the other big players in the region that I don't need to mention. So yeah, we're quite serious about what we do. In the region, you'll see what our main focus is for carbon capture is the Viking CCS cluster. And just to touch briefly, within this cluster, we have two projects that we are looking to, one, to create a new build power station in Stallingborough on the south bank here, which will be a 800 megawatt power station with carbon capture. And then the other one is our existing power station, which is currently the largest in England, second to our sister one in Pembroke, which is the largest in the UK. The one in Staithorpe is 1.7 gigawatts, and we're looking to retrofit carbon capture to that also. So for us, it's a huge investment. Again, I won't touch on SWIC, which is the Southwest Industrial Cluster, but in the UK we are hugely invested. More importantly, the East Coast region. So this map depicts nicely all of the projects across our portfolio that fall into the East region. The slightly lighter area is my current focused remit of region, but obviously that does scoop down to the East Anglia region. So you can see we have over 12 gigawatts of renewable energy assets in the region. The cluster as Humber and the Teesside region is a huge strategic importance to RWE. So when it said about private investment up there, we are one of those businesses that are committed to investing in this region, that we are committed to helping decarbonise the UK and decarbonising and prioritising the Humber region as part of that in our strategic goals. And we're fully aware that a part of levelling up for this region also involves the skills involved in that as well. Next slide, please, which is my final slide. And it's just to say, if you want any more information, this is where you can hit us up. YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter. There's much more information on those projects. Or if you want any more information, then when we go through to the networking area, then please come and find me and be happy to discuss in more detail.